Hey, Fergie, so when you first heard who the Cubs were going to play in the NLCS, and it's the New York Mets, did you think back to 1969, and did it make you cringe a little bit?
No, not really. You know, that series is over. It's like 100 years ago. And unfortunately, we didn't play well. We stopped scoring runs. You know, people looking at all the statistics that happened to us in September, we didn't score runs like we've been scoring runs earlier in the year. And unfortunately, we just lost out to the Mets, and Mets were the better ball club.
Fergie, this is Woody Paige, and let me start with this. In order for the Cubs to win at home, I have, and tell me that I'm an idiot, but Don Zimmer used to tell me that he lived in that apartment building that was beyond center field. He'd go out on his deck every day, and he could see which way the wind was blowing. He'd know what was going to happen that night. It's going to be warmer weather, but there's a chance of rain tonight. The wind is going to be blowing in. It seems to me that the Cubs have to get off to a quick start tonight, keep the crowd in the game, score a couple of runs, get on top of the Mets. Is that a fair assessment of what you think maybe has to happen?
You must have been reading a book. Come on. That's how the game's played. Sure, they got to score runs early. Forget about the wind. The wind's that's part of nature. You know, whenever I pitched in Wrigley Field, I never looked at the flags, because if you're going to look at the flags, you're going to defeat your own purpose. Now, these young hitters, they're strong enough to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and that's a big plus for them. Both teams, they have hitters that can. Wrigley Field's small, so the wind shouldn't be a factor. You know, if the wind, even the wind blowing in, guys can cut through the wind and hit home runs or hit balls off the wall. But I just think that pitching, and you've seen it over the years, have dominated the playoffs. And one player comes through with key hits. But pitching is the big key, and I just think that Hendricks is pitching against the young Met pitcher. DeGrom.
Yeah.
DeGrom. These guys, they got to have their act together. If they don't, unfortunately, one of the teams are not going to win. So, and the Mets are up too. So let's hope that Hendricks has got his act together and he can get the Mets, get the Cubs back in this series.
Well, Fergie, I mean, I could guess who you're rooting for, but what you just said, that doesn't bode well for the Cubs, does it? Not with all those young studs on the mound for the Mets this series.
They've got a good young ball club, and so do the Cubs. And hitting is going to prove if they're going to turn it around. The Mets have really dominated pitching and hitting over the last two games. Cubs really haven't hit. And they're a fastball-hitting ball club. And DeGrom is a fastball-hitting pitcher. I think the big thing is they got to jump on whoever first, see what happens.